If I start sweating profusely, it's because I'm trying to be a good YouTuber and I turned off my AC because it makes a lot of noise in the background. But just know that I'm about to be hot in like 5 minutes. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So happy that you could come back for another review. Today I'm going to review Work For It by Talia Hibbert. A lot of you guys might know Talia Hibbert from her book Take a Chance, Chloe Brown, or Take a Hint, Danny Brown. I'm so happy. For the longest I've been saying Tanny, and this is the first time in a video that I've gotten the name right and said Danny. So pat on the shoulders because I can't reach my back because, you know, shoulder thingies. So Work For It is essentially a hurt comfort queer romance novel about Keynes, who is trying to navigate his new reality after being betrayed by somebody he trusted and cared for. So he is withdrawn from friends and family and is trying to navigate new relationships and is not able to do a very good job of it. After a night of having what I would consider an anxiety attack, he decides that something needs to give, and he finds this farm outside of the city that is doing this annual thing, and he decides, well, why not get out of the city and just kind of breathe for a little bit. There he encounters this guy named Griffin, who at first they kind of clash and do not get along. The next day he finds out that he will be actually working at Griffin's farm. So they start kind of building a friendship in a way, getting to know each other, and it turns into this really beautiful relationship in a way, but nothing serious because they have it in mind that Keynes will be leaving soon. So it's now navigating those new feelings that's arising, not really having those conversations with each other, and honestly trying to work through their own hurt and their own trauma and figuring out how to not fix each other, but kind of helping each other to cope in a way. So per usual, let's go through the list, which I think will be here. Actually, do I want to hear? Wherever it is, it's here somewhere. You can see it. I can't right now, but you can see it. So genre is M/queer contemporary romance. I don't have tropes on here, but I would say definitely hurt comfort trope. Editing, 5 out of 5, very good editing. Talia already writes beautifully. Again, when I talk about editing, I'm talking about grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes, and continuity issues. I didn't find any of those problems within the book. It was a smooth read, so definitely 5 out of 5. Book cover. So I have a bit of an issue with the book cover, which I will later explain in my review. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 because it is a beautiful cover, but I do have some issues with it, which I will talk about in a little bit. Steam level, this is definitely an adult romance book. I would say Steam is about 2.5 out of 5. If you do not like smutty romance, this is not that. It's something that you could read and skip those parts. I think there's only 2 scenes in there. So if you're somebody who's like, I don't really like erotica or I don't like smut, this is not that. Favorite character? I honestly can't choose between Keynes and Griffin. I love both of them for different reasons. Keynes, I just feel like I want to hug him and cuddle with him and just make everything okay. And I am not that person. I am not a very cuddly person at all, but throughout the book, I was just like, I want to hold you. And Griffin just, it seems like this big teddy bear that's so sweet and honest and just pure in a way. And I am a sucker for people like that. I don't think we have enough people who are just really pure and doesn't seem jaded from the world. And Griffin certainly has so many reasons to be jaded, and he just comes off as just really sincere and sweet. So I'm trying to choose just one person, and I think I've been consistent in choosing one person in these reviews, but I just honestly could not choose. So per usual, I will start out with all the positives about this book, all the things that I like, my thoughts on the book, and then I will go into usually my few negatives for the book. So this book started off strong. I'll quote something that I highlighted because it was an ebook, so I could highlight it. So there's a scene where Keynes is at a bar or a club and someone comes up to him and they say, "Where are you from?" And Keynes says, "I'm from London." I say, hoping he isn't going to ruin my grand sexual plans by asking where I'm really from. If he does, it won't take the strangeness to put me off of him. I highlighted this and I said, this is why I want to read stories about Black main characters by Black authors. I feel like that's such a nuanced thing for Keynes to have said in this book, or to think in this book, like, I'm from London, and then thinking, I hope he doesn't ask me where I'm really from. That's something that Black people get all the time. We are always, now, I'm from Jamaica, so there's, I am from somewhere other than the US, but it is really strange when somebody just assumes, like, when you say I'm from X and they're like, but where are you really from? And it's like, what does that mean? So I really appreciated this point in the book. It really confirmed for me why I am making this point of seeking out Black authors to add to my, one-click list, because I want to see things like this in stories that I'm like, oh, like, I can relate to this, even whether it's a positive or a negative thing, I can relate to this. That aside, I really like this story because of the nuanced character that Keynes was. It's interesting because there were a lot of moments when I didn't really like him so much. He was not a nice person. You are told in the beginning that he's had this traumatic experience, so you understand where it comes from, but it's still hard to sometimes not be angry at him and kind of look at him in a way, because he's just being so mean to someone that's really just trying to be sweet and who is really just trying to be a good person and trying to be a welcoming person. At times you would really dislike Keynes, but at the same time you understood him, and you could see either yourself in him, or you could see a friend in him or a family member in him. I love that from Talia. I loved how she was able to create this character who you really had to understand throughout the book, rather than just like being given this person, and really seeing the growth as the book went along, and really having this character even in the end who is still not perfect and still has so much that they have to work on, but still understanding that he is never going to be perfect, and that's okay, because we cannot be perfect as human beings. And so that's what I really liked about the story. So I love the way this book progressed. I didn't at first. At first I was reading and I was like, this is moving a little bit fast. Like, where are all these feelings coming from? But it's almost like she heard me say that, because it slowed down a bit and things kind of like, it was still a slow moving into things and slowly getting to a place of trust and understanding. My next thing that I will say about this book is that Talia is a beautiful writer. There were certain things that she wrote and I just stopped and I was like, that just makes me feel so pretty inside. I don't know why. For example, there's this sentence: "Then out of nowhere, Keynes gives me a touch made of words." I don't know why I found that to be so beautiful. The whole idea of like a kiss made of words, and it's not hard to imagine, like I don't think it's ever been said to me in that way, or I've ever read a line like this. You can feel a sense of closeness with someone just from words, whatever they're saying, or the conversation that you're having, or the topic you're talking about, and then jump into bed with somebody else and be kissing or making out or what have you, and not feel that same sense of closeness. So the idea of a kiss made of words, I don't know why it spoke to me in that way, but I was like, this is so beautiful. So overall, beautifully written, great characters, again, great nuanced characters, especially in terms of Keynes. There's a line in there where Keynes says, "I've become a storm cloud, misery and electricity rolled into one, and soon someone will notice." I love that, not because of just the description of it, but here's a Black man talking about his mental illness. And that is so needed. We need more characters like this. We need more Black male characters who are openly talking about mental illness or acknowledging it, because I think society obviously seeps into these books where Black people don't have mental illness, or they don't acknowledge it, or we're not forgiven for it, or not even forgiven. We're now being judged for it in a different way. Like, you know, there's certain things that are very destructive that Keynes does. You have to understand that this man has gone through a traumatic experience and is coping with that. And a lot of times coping is self-destructive, you know? And so I don't think Black characters are usually forgiven for that. They're usually seen as hypersexual or nasty or mean. Yeah, some of the things he said is not nice. Some of the things that he's doing is not great. But hey, guess what? This is reality. You can see beyond that and see this person for who he really is. Okay, I have 2 complaints about this book. One of them petty, the other one not so much. My first petty is I hate pet names, and I hate pet names that are like given so early into a non-relationship, where you know, the sweethearts, the babies, the babes. I hate pet names, and I can usually deal with it if it's like an established relationship. But when it's like somebody now, like, we're not even in a relationship, maybe we're just having sex, or maybe we're just making out, and now I'm calling you sweetheart, or now I'm calling you babes, and now I'm calling you baby, and I'm just like, yuck. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to read it, but it's petty. This is like a personal thing, has nothing to do with anything. I just wanted to say that because I kept like seeing it throughout the book, and I was just like, no, stop it. My next complaint, which is big, going back to the cover, I've noticed a trend, which I actually made a video about and have edited, so it will be posted after this video most likely. I've noticed a trend where Black indie queer romance authors are not putting Black people on their covers. While this man is slightly tanned, he's white. Unless he turns around to show you more of his facial features, he is white. I'm assuming this man is supposed to represent Griffin on the cover. I am tired of this. I am tired of Black indie authors or Black gay romance authors that either are not given the space or don't believe they have the space to put Black people on their covers or to write stories about Black men. And I specifically say men because I am seeing more covers with Black girls or Black women on the cover, and I love that, and I want more of that. What's even more frustrating is that Keynes has a traditional African first name. Now, I'm going to butcher this name. I've looked up the translation for it, and I haven't like found a consistent one. I'm gonna leave his first name here. I'm thinking it's pronounced Olamide. I might be wrong. So, traditional African name. Yet, I have this man being described as never actually coming out and saying anything about his parents, describing his parents and saying, oh, well, this one was what, or this one is whatever. I'm assuming he's biracial because he's described as having blonde hair with green eyes, which is not unusual for Black people, if you didn't know. But then, like, described as like brown skin, or I think tan skin was used at some point, or coffee top, whatever those like words, like food names that you link to a person's skin, all the words that you use to avoid saying Black, those words. I cannot remember the specific words that were used, but I just know that I kept looking through this book waiting for him to be described as a Black man, and that never happening. I just come out and say it. Come out and say it, especially when you have a white man on your cover. Come out and tell me what he is. You might say, well, why do you need to know? I need to know. I need to know because Rue happened. And if you don't know what that means, it means that in Hunger Games, there was a little girl named Rue in the books that was described, like all the descriptions led you to think Black. And then when the movies came out, Amandla Stenberg, how do you pronounce her last name again? Anyway, she played Rue. Mind you, Amandla is light as hell. And there were so many racist comments on Twitter and all over the internet. And you know, people literally saying, you know what, it was less sad when Rue died in the movie because she was Black. Like, you need to come out and tell me that this person is Black. Not for any other reason, but that there's not enough Black characters in these books. And so when there is, I want to celebrate that. And I don't want to be wondering, well, was he not intended to be Black? Because I don't want to give you credit. I don't, like, just tell me. Don't skate around the issue. Don't put a white man on your cover. Don't skate around the issue of whether this person is Black. And yes, I'm going to assume that he's biracial. His last name is Keynes, which is traditionally British. And then his first name is this traditional West African name. So I'm just going to assume that he's biracial. But again, my issue is with these authors not putting Black men on their covers. And I won't go too much into this because I talk about it in my next video that's coming up, but I understand that your sales might go down because of this. And so switching my take and urging you, whoever is watching this or whoever is reading and talking about this, buy more books with Black people on the covers. Buy it, because then publishers will more likely, and publishers also, you are a problem too. Like, it's all these things like working together to kind of come to this conclusion where Black authors don't think that they can put Black men on their books because it's not going to be sold. So those are my two like issues with this book. My only two issues with this book, honestly, were those two things, which had nothing to do with the writing, had nothing to do with the story itself. I really enjoyed this book. I would say overall 4 out of 5 stars. I would say that I would read more Talia books, but we shall see. This is the only gay romance book that she's ever written in, so I was a little bit hesitant to read it, but I was like, you know, I'm going to give her a chance because people seem to like her other books. So if nothing else, she's at least a good writer, and I was pleasantly surprised. I might pick up those 2 books. I'm not sure. I usually have to wait until the hype dies down for certain books before I read them, but I definitely want to support a Black author, so it might be something that I pick up, and I'm sure I will enjoy it. So many people have enjoyed it that I'm sure that I will enjoy it. So yeah, you might be seeing another one of her books here, and those books have Black people on their covers, so you know, I'm excited for that at least. Anyway, guys, that was my review of Work For It by Talia Hibbert. If you've read this book, please let me know in the comments and tell me what you thought of it. If you've read her other books, please let me know what you think of those, because I am thinking that eventually I'm going to get to it. Most likely not this month. I already have like a long list of books that I need to read for this month for specific reasons. So definitely not this month, but maybe next month or in November. So thank you for joining me once again. I will see you in the next video, which will be posted very soon because I actually have it edited and ready to go. I'm so proud of myself. Anyway, have a great day. Have a great week. I will talk to you later. Bye.